From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your Evening Update.
Save more on Parker House, Ashley, and Coaster. Furniture and Mattress 86, across from the Churn Creek Post Office on Merchant Street, Reading.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Meteorologist Mike Krueger. Thank you so much for joining me here for your evening update. So here's what's going on. We've got another dry and warm day for your Tuesday before things start to change. Wednesday is the transition day before the cooler and wetter pattern moves in. So yes, we're back to a more winter-like pattern by the middle to latter part of the week. The cooler and wetter pattern will start sometime around Wednesday, probably closer to Wednesday evening into Thursday. And this pattern will continue off and on through the weekend and most likely at least into early next week, if not longer. All right, we'll get into all of that in the deeper dive forecast, but first, here is a look at your Krueger's Quickcast for your Monday, March 24th. We'll start off with what we expect here for tonight. Another mild night, only dropping down in the low to mid 50s here for tonight in the valley, mainly in the 40s for the higher elevations, and looks like in the mid to upper 40s with some of that fog along many parts of the coast, especially out towards Humboldt County. Out the door for tomorrow morning. There you can see, we'll still see a few more, we'll call it more in the way of high clouds here for tomorrow, but otherwise I do expect another beautiful day. It should be fairly mild to start off the day as well, but again, some of that fog along the coast. So there's the ridge of high pressure. That's the dominant feature today and even tomorrow. But all of this right here, this is moving our way. It's going to break away at that ridge. It'll allow our temperatures to drop and eventually even some rain and high elevation snow. But looking at futurecasts here for the next 24 hours, tomorrow morning, again, I think we're going to see more fog than it's indicating here along the coast, especially for Humboldt County. But by the afternoon, just some afternoon cumulus clouds, and that will be the extent of it. Still looking at those dry conditions. So here's what we have in store for us tomorrow. Temperatures are going to be somewhere in the mid 80s. For many of us in the valley, just another gorgeous day. Temperatures in the 60s and 70s for the higher elevations and low to mid 60s along the coast. Now, looking at the 7-day outlook, what you'll see here for the valley, Wednesday is the transition day. I still expect it to be a dry day on Wednesday, but we're going to drop those temperatures by about 10 degrees and even more so by Thursday. So much cooler by the end of the week, this weekend into next week, with off and on chances for rain here. I think the best chance for a break for everyone once it does start on Thursday will be on Saturday. But you'll notice the cooler temperatures and snow levels could eventually drop down to as low as 3,000 feet at times. So looking at some lower snow levels, especially for this time of the year, that's pretty low. And as I mentioned, by Saturday, I think everyone will see a break with maybe more showers by Sunday and early next week. Before we get into that deeper dive forecast, there's a 24-hour streaming channel you have access to. It's available on Roku, Amazon Fire Stick. And if you don't have either one of those devices, any other smart device, including your TV, if they have YouTube on it, just search for Weather NorCal. That'll get you to the app on these two devices. Will also get you to the Weather NorCal YouTube channel. Subscribe to it, watch the 24-hour streaming channel, and on the YouTube app, you can watch the latest video, forecast video on demand. So really kind of cool. You can also check it on weathernorcal.com. You can also watch it on the free Weather NorCal app. So here is the big ridge of high pressure I was talking about as we now start that deeper dive forecast. We've got a couple of things we're watching. Of course, the ridge of high pressure right off to the west of that is cooler, more unstable air. That is that more of that unsettled weather pattern that we'll see kick in later this week. But again, it's not until later this week. Now, as I mentioned, I think we're going to see more of that morning fog here for parts along the coast here, but I do expect it to be a dry day, partly cloudy skies for the higher elevations later in the afternoon, but still a dry day. And really, most of the day on Wednesday, for most of us, will be dry. You see some clouds beginning to roll in, but still dry by midday. Now, there may be just enough instability and enough moisture for us to see an isolated thunderstorm in northern Shasta County, parts of Siskiyou County, maybe even Modoc County getting on some of that, and even along the coast. But everywhere else, you're still looking at dry conditions. By the time we get into Wednesday night into early Thursday morning, you can see it just really weakens this main boundary pushing through, but still a chance for a few showers here and there. So looking at the Storm Prediction Center, putting that chance for thunderstorms mainly to the north of the valley here, where we can see that potential for thunderstorms Wednesday afternoon. All right, let's kind of zoom it out here, go into a little bit more of a longer range forecast. And this is going to take you into Thursday and Friday. Now, Thursday, what we've got here is this disturbance moving through. It's going to be cooler and unsettled. What that means is off and on showers. There may even be some breaks in the clouds at times. There'll be some possible periods of moderate to heavy rainfall for a brief period of time as well. Snow levels somewhere between 3,500, 4,500 feet. That's Thursday, 5 p.m. So you see how we just have the off and on scattered showers across the board. That's going to continue into your Friday morning. Friday afternoon, we're going to be looking at more of that chance for showers for Friday afternoon. Saturday's the break I was talking about. Here's this ridge of high pressure building in. This is the next batch of moisture heading our way. Should be here by sometime around Sunday. And then once that moves out, this model wants to give us a break on Monday, but I still think there could be a chance for showers Monday, and then again going into your Tuesday of next week. So you hear that, phrase, that term, March, going in like a lamb, out like a lion, or vice versa. We're going to be going out of March like a lion. We're going to be looking at that rainfall most likely. Now, the rainfall estimates, keep in mind the key term there is estimates. The main thing I want to show you with this is not necessarily that these are going to be the exact numbers and the amounts of rainfall that you're going to see, but your typical footprint with this rainfall. What I mean by that is typically we see the heaviest amount of rainfall northern, kind of this general area right here to the north and west. Del Norte County, northern Humboldt, western Siskiyou County, and sometimes even northern portions of Trinity County. That tends to be where we see most of the rain. You start heading to the south and east, you start seeing less, especially for the valley. Sometimes we even get that shadowing effect where you see less rainfall basically from Red Bluff southward. And then sometimes some of these higher elevations, especially east of the valley, you get that upslope flow. And that is what's going to give us maybe squeezing out a little bit more moisture and a little bit more rainfall as a result. And then once again, that typical area where we see less rainfall as well is off to the north and to the east. Now, the long range with the Climate Prediction Center is putting us in that wetter than normal category, and that's going to kind of put you right about here. So the darker that shade of green, the better the chance of seeing above normal rainfall. And that's looking pretty promising. I just don't expect it to be the amount of rainfall where we're going to see flooding or anything of that nature, but certainly some good rain in some areas. Now, the winds are something we'll have to watch too. Not necessarily tomorrow, but going through the day on Wednesday, you're going to notice those winds probably picking up. 8 o'clock in the morning Wednesday, not much going on. By midday, the winds are picking up. This is not a major wind event, but we're talking 30, maybe even 40 miles per hour in some areas, especially out towards Del Norte County, central Siskiyou County. Even parts of the valley could see some pretty gusty winds there as well. You'll notice that continues even into Wednesday night. We'll have to watch for Thursday as well. But taking a look at the temperature outlook, this is something I was hinting at this morning and even during the midday forecast, is that this was all kind of the gray color indicating just near normal. And I was indicating that, hey, you know what though? I think we'll eventually start to see some blues in here because we've got cooler than normal conditions here in the long range. And that's certainly what's happened with the Climate Prediction Center. And this is the indication, the reason why I thought that, because we're going down from where we are now and we're going to really see those temperatures drop below normal. And it looks like we're going to see a long stretch of temperatures below normal. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be super cold. The normal high is 67. So even if we're at 64, 65, that's still considered below normal. But we're still talking temperatures, I would say around 60 degrees, give or take. Some points a little bit warmer, sometimes a little bit cooler, at other times around 64 degrees. But you get the idea. We're going on this long stretch of this cooler weather. This also is the signs of a more unsettled weather pattern as well, which is why we got the chances for showers in that long range forecast. All right, so let's take a look at your wave heights. You can see as we, oops, I got a little button happy there. Let's take you back. I think the reason why I pushed the button, because I didn't think it was moving, but it is. There it is. That's because the wave heights aren't moving or changing much over the next 24 hours. There you can see that's Tuesday at 6 p.m. So let's take you through the day on Wednesday. It actually retreats and then starts to increase again by late in the day Wednesday with that approaching storm system Wednesday night into Thursday. But looking at your marine forecast for your Tuesday, your winds, not that bad, coming out of the north at about 5 to 10 knots. There will be some patchy, dense fog, but no small corrected advisories or anything of that nature here. All right, so here's what we have in store for us tonight. Your temperatures are dropping down in the low to mid 50s. As mentioned, a mild night not only for the valley, not too terribly cold for the higher elevations, and I do expect mainly in the mid to upper 40s overnight tonight for the coast, and of course looking at some of that fog overnight and into tomorrow morning as well. Here's your Trinity County neighborhood forecast. Your temperatures are going to be mainly in the low to even some mid 80s for your daytime highs. That chance for rain really won't kick in until Wednesday night and into Thursday. Taking a look at your North Coast neighborhood forecast, look at that, out towards Garberville 83, 82 degrees for Alder Point, and those temperatures along the coast will mainly be in the low to mid 60s. Look at Smith River, a high of 70, 79 degrees for Gas Key, 76 for Orleans, and those low 80s for Hoopa and Willow Creek. Out towards Siskiyou County, your temperature is mainly in the 70s, although some of the higher elevations here, upper 60s there, but Mount Shasta City, another gorgeous day with a high of about 71 degrees. And out towards Modoc County, temperatures mid to upper 70s, 75 degrees for California Pines, although cooler, but still very mild, very nice. 72 degrees out in Fort Bidwell and 70 in Cedarville. Your Eastern Mountains neighborhood forecast. It looks like Paradise, you're going to be flirting with that 80-degree mark, generally around 78. 79 for Quincy, Susanville about 77, and Portola, a high of about 74 degrees. Let's take a look at your Valley neighborhood forecast brought to you by Walgamut Painting. Temperatures mainly in the low 80s for Los Molinos, southward about 81 to 83. And here's your 7-day forecast starting off with Chico. Dry through Wednesday. There's the off and on chances for showers. Now, it's not going to be a washout. We're not looking at a ton of rainfall, but the best chance for a break once it does start will be on Saturday, and then more showers possibly by Sunday into Monday of next week. All right, let's take you up to the north. You can see about 86 degrees for the city of Shasta Lake and Redding, as well as Anderson, 85 for Cottonwood, and Lakehead, a high of about 80 degrees. Here's your 7-day forecast for Redding. We're down to 75 degrees by Wednesday, but still dry. Low 60s by Thursday, Friday. There's that break on Saturday and more showers by Sunday, Monday. That is your evening update. I'll be back again tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. and live on Coffee with Krueger at 7 a.m. Have a great night.
Save more on our huge selection of Nectar, Dream Cloud, Sierra Sleep, and Diamond Mattress. Furniture and Mattress 86, across from the Churn Creek Post Office on Merchant Street, Redding.